Welcome back to Amanda vs. Art. In this video, I'm just going to share some painting that I did just for fun. Lately, I've been struggling to find the bandwidth to come up with or execute some of my video ideas just because life has thrown me a few curveballs here and there these days. But I wanted to at least share with you some things that I did just for fun, just to do art for the sake of doing art. And I also wanted to show some of the birthday supplies that I got from friends and family and just kind of play around with those a little bit and share that with you. So just starting off, I had this idea. My wife and I went to Knott's Berry Farm. If you don't know what that is, it is a theme park in Southern California, and their claim to fame is boysenberry. So they have boysenberry everything, and we were there for the Boysenberry Festival. This was back in April of this year, I believe, and I really love the decorations that they do around the park, especially this time of year. We also like to go for other parts of the festival, but we really love Knott's Scary Farm, which is our favorite time of year. We love Halloween. So we just went to Knott's for a little outing, and we went to the Boysenberry Festival. And I thought it would be really fun to take some pictures of some of the kind of landscaping and decoration that they did around the park, and then pick 2 or 3 to do some vignette style paintings. For my birthday, I got this really great Artistro and Hannah MP watercolor set. It comes with several watercolors, really vibrant, your standard, like very popular colors. And I did post a short video of me swatching the set, so if you feel free to check that out if you want to see the full set of colors that come in this set. It also came with a couple of brushes, and it came with its own watercolor paper. In this round, I didn't use the paper or the brushes. I got some really great Royal brushes from my mother-in-law that I really wanted to try out. And so that was what I decided to use in terms of the tools. I had a new number 6 brush that I really thought was really pretty. It's purple, which was appropriate. And a number 10 really fine tip brush, and I thought these would be perfect to use. I have lots of other birthday goodies that I hope to share in other videos though, so you'll see a lot of me just kind of playing around with stuff for a little while until I kind of get my sea legs back to making more videos, doing the versus stuff. So back to the vignettes. I was very ambitious, and I wanted to do 3 vignettes, 3 different scenes from the Knott's Berry Farm pictures. I wound up picking one, and it's this cage with this flowers and cans for like pots, having their own little botanical arrangements, and there's this rooster on the top. I really liked the building behind it and the awning, so I thought this was a really, really good start to making a vignette. I zoomed it in, but I did pick kind of a wider range than you might think for a vignette. I just wanted to capture a lot of the details here. So I definitely wanted the rooster, I wanted the awning, I wanted the cage, of course. These were the things that were really that really drew me to the composition. Then there were so many amazing flower arrangements, and I wanted to add some color to this composition as well. So I did try to pick crop the area where I could get some of these purple flowers that are hanging out on the bottom. So as I was working on this, I noticed that I was really leaning towards this kind of muted color palette. I didn't want to use black straight out of the palette, but I did use a little bit of the Payne's Gray. I had to look it up, but I knew in my heart it was Payne's Gray. I just knew. So when you see me kind of blending the colors, a lot of the base colors like the greens and the browns and all of that are not black, but they're Payne's Gray. So I feel like it really helped create this kind of cohesive composition in terms of the color palette. When I get to the flowers though, I do try to keep those like really bright, like the purple flowers. I keep those kind of that nice purple right out of the container there. Same with the reds of the flowers in the pots and down below. So I have to admit, I cheated a little bit, as you probably could see. I already had my base sketch kind of set up for this small square of paper that I'm working on, which, by the way, in terms of supplies, these are Fayez 100% cotton sheets. I got them on Amazon, and they were highly recommended by another YouTuber. They're fun for practice. It's not necessarily for like finished pieces or professional work by any stretch of the imagination, but they do the trick and they were a nice size for working with. So the way I came up with the drawing is I actually used DaVinci to do the base drawing, and I'll show a little clip later when I start working on the second vignette of how I kind of approached doing the sketch. I think in hindsight, maybe I should have tried to draw it freehand. Maybe the cage would have come out a little better if I had trusted myself to draw it myself. But I felt with all the intricate details, it would be better and faster, because considering at the time I felt like I had this weekly deadline to achieve, to use DaVinci to like kind of get this sketch down so that I can focus just on the fun of painting. So that's what I did on this, and then you can see that I fill in the background of the cage with a lot of gray. I feel like there were probably some instances where I could have paid closer attention to the background colors, so it looks really dark at the top there. I tried to, as it got closer to the bottom, to pay more attention to that, but I think the cage could use a little bit of work, of course. I think if I were to attempt this just doing a freehand, I'd be curious to see how I fare that way. So maybe I'll do another short video or something with me trying it again, just drawing this on my own. Another thing I'll say about working on this is my lack of patience showed through again. I reached a certain point where I was working on this and I wasn't really enjoying how it was turning out. There definitely were some elements that I did like I actually really do like the purple flowers and how those turned out. I really like the can with the like plum, I think those are plums on it, and then like the leaves and things like that. And the rooster I really love too. The rooster probably one of my favorite things to paint in this particular composition. But when I was trying to outline this cage and trying to like give it more definition, I kind of felt like I wasn't really happy with how it was going. So I did take the tape off and set it aside just to try and work on a more zoomed in piece. I thought maybe if I could capture less of the image, the details would look a little bit better, larger. So that's what I did. I grabbed another piece of the Fayez paper and taped it down. And then I used my DaVinci app once again to zoom in even more on that image of the rooster and cage. So the awning is much bigger, the rooster's much bigger, a lot of those background details and the cage are taking up more space in the composition. So I can really focus on letting those kind of details pop out more. So you can see on this one, I didn't change my approach to using the colors or anything like that. I was pretty consistent in how I blended the colors, using a lot of the Payne's gray and mixing that with different colors like the greens and browns like before. I do like that there were more, the awning was much more defined, and I love that the rooster was bigger because I feel like the rooster was kind of like key piece of the photo that I really wanted to capture the most. I do like how the cage turned out just a little bit better this time, especially that top part that's by the rooster. That's probably my favorite part. Once you start going down from there, I feel like still using the Da Vinci eye really didn't help me capture the cage correctly. It was pretty busy in all honesty to kind of capture the front and the back and all of the metal pieces around it. So I did find the cage to be, again, another really challenging part of this piece. But with all that being said, and I still did the same thing with the outlining again too, which I, again, still not a big fan of, but I do think that the cage turned out a little bit better on the second pass. Then we get to kind of the can and those like red flowers again, and I kind of like that those were like a little bit more defined as well. But when I kind of looked at the piece overall, I like that it was zoomed in, but then I kind of missed those purple flowers again. So, you know, you sacrifice some things for other things when you crop your subject in such a way. But I feel like this more captures a vignette style because there's less busyness to it. So in the end, I took some watercolor pencils and I went back over both of the pieces and just tried to like kind of give some texture and some details to them in the hopes of like maybe salvaging them in a way that I would, you know, like them a little bit better. And I think adding the watercolor pencils did do a little bit of good, especially on the larger one. Well, when I say larger one, I mean the busier one. And on the second one, it really didn't make too big of a difference, in my opinion. I think just some of those darker details on the rooster were helpful, and the tail and stuff like that. So and then the all the red parts of the rooster too. So I do think that having the extra pencil did bring an additional element of style to it that I enjoyed. So in the end, I experimented with vignettes, and I hope to do more of this in the future. I really enjoyed playing with my new paints. I have to say, even though this isn't a review, I will give you an overview of how I felt about everything. The paints themselves are really, really vibrant. I really like the blending and how easy they were to work with, and I'm perfectly satisfied with the quality of them in terms of how they reacted on the paper and all of that stuff, the vibrancy and all of that stuff. My brushes were great. I will try the Artistro and Hannah MP brushes at some point. I will say, just from like just glancing at them, they wouldn't be my first choice for brush, but I do want to do maybe a comparison to see how they would work. And it's always good to have more brushes, good or bad. There's nothing wrong with having an extra brush, that's for sure. As for the Fias paper, I know it's been recommended by other YouTube watercolor artists, but I would say that I wasn't a particular fan of it in terms of working with it, even just for fun. I found some elements frustrating to it. I think the main thing is the texture of the paper. When I was making horizontal lines, especially when I was working on the outlines of the cage, I found that the paint was not, I wasn't able to make really clean paint strokes. You can probably see some of the bumpiness and the texture in the lines as I'm working horizontally. So I think that will be evident that either maybe I should have worked horizontally on the paper and done my composition differently, or I should have used the other side of the paper. Who's to say? But at any rate, I did find this paper a little bit of a challenge to work with. I did get some arches for my birthday too, so I can't wait to make something with those, and I will keep you all posted as to when I'll make something great with those. And just as an ending note, you know, just starting this channel, I had a lot of ideas and aspirations for it, and as I mentioned, you know, life sometimes takes you in a different direction, and I want to continue to do art therapeutically, not just as something to have deadlines. So you may see less of me from time to time, you may see more shorts from me from time to time, just making art for the sake of making art right now, just because I don't want to feel pressure to make it work. I need it for my my mental health and clarity, so expect to see more just like fun projects and paintings from me, and then eventually I'll get more into the verses and my goals of doing more studies and projects and really tackling some of the art fundamentals that I've always planned on doing. So I appreciate all of you for being here, and I hope you enjoyed watching my process on this painting, and I hope you stick around to see more like that in the future, as often as I can do it. So thanks again for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.